So today, what we're going to be talking about is really centered around coaching, consulting, and counseling. Which of these do you need? Many people don't even know the difference between the three, and some people call themselves one and really the other. In fact, I know that even some pastors are getting onto planes and saying, I'm a coach. But what is a coach? What's a consultant? And what's a counselor? I think there's a place for all three of them, but we've got to distinguish who they are. You see, a counselor is traditionally like a therapist. And so, when do we need a therapist? Well, therapists are going to help us to go back into the past to rewire our thinking about the past, to be able to help us to process the past. Whether it's some wounding and issues that created trauma, there's all sorts of things with which counselors can help us to unpack things. And I think a Christian counselor, a Christian therapist is going to help you to let Jesus be a part of that. In fact, they'll invite you into a discussion with Jesus to allow for some new thinking. What I like to share about that is that every one of us have a story to tell about our past. And so, what if I could adopt a new story about my past that would make things stronger? So, counselors have a super important place in helping our past get restored, rewired to help us with past trauma. That's counselors. Well, now, what about consultants? Well, consultants have specific advice to give you about how to do something. It could be how to systematically do something, how to follow rules and regulations. Some examples: a CPA. They're going to give you tax advice, accounting advice. They're going to help you to do it according to the law. Or a lawyer, right? A lawyer, another great consultant who's going to give you direct experience and or precedent, case law to help you to follow the law and get the most that you're seeking. A consultant's also going to often have some direct experience, some direct wisdom for you that's going to spoon feed you some answers and say, here you go, this is what you should do. Take these two pills and call me in the morning, right? A doctor, another great, amazing consultant. But none of those are a coach. So, what's the difference? Well, let me explain what a coach is. A coach helps you to build a compelling future and then draws out of you the answers and summons the mindset, willpower, and determination to see how far you can go. You see, most of us woefully underplay the possibilities of the future because we'll live the future that we feel is going to give us the most power. What's the future that's going to give you the most power? The one that you're right about. And what are you going to be right about? Well, making the future be just only so much. This is what's happened in the past. This is what happened in my family of origin, my father, my mother. That's what was. And then when I think about what is, I think about who I think I am. And good chance that I probably say, or you probably say, I'm just this much and I don't think much more than that. So what is plus what was, I might get an incremental future, but it's really my default future. A coach is going to help you to break out of that, to think of a future that is possible and thrilling, not impossible, not saying to you that you're going to be able to bend space and time, but to be able to say, that's perhaps improbable, but it's possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It would thrill me if it was true and helps me to get out of my own way to achieve the future. Counseling, consulting, coaching, all three of these things are super, super different. Let me tell you a little bit of the examples of where I have directly benefited in a big way from all three of them. First, in counseling, I'll never forget a counselor that helped me rework my past. And I'm not going to completely spill all of that here, but there was two counselors that worked on me that it did such a great job at helping me to retell the story. This is how I like to explain it. If you and I were driving down the freeway and ooh, all of a sudden somebody cuts us off to get off the freeway and we have to turn, brake, honk on the horn, and we survive it, but we have two choices to make, two stories we could tell about the same situation. One story is going to take my life, one's going to give me life. The first story is that blankety blank, just blankety blank cut me off, and they blankety blank should know better, right? That's a story that's taking away life. And then the story that gives me life is, wow, I bet they might have just heard that their father's dying. And if they don't get off the freeway right now, they might not make it to the hospital to be there for his final breath. Now, first story took my life away. The second story gave me life. But I have a choice because both of those stories are equally possible. So, what lens might I choose that would resource for me about my past a whole new mindset? Hey, if you've been following Leveraging Success, in our first season of episodes, I released an interview with an amazing counselor. She wouldn't call herself a counselor. She's actually a rapid transformation therapy, RTT, rapid transformation therapy specialist, RTT. Her name is Nino Fincher. Nino has an approach that I love that's been super impactful to me and others that I know she's worked with. And her work is to help us to go back deep into those stories and start to rethink them, especially in the moments before we go to sleep. And so she's got a process with which to help us to rethink those thoughts that are not resourceful about our past. So being able to get through trauma, it helped me massively. It helped me reset some relationships. It helped me to believe something or renew a new story about some people. In fact, I'll share it this much is that, I love my father, and there it was stories in our past with which, you know, were true in their own sense, but I could see them different ways. And when I started to step around the situation and think of the story that was most powerful, that didn't take the truth away, but actually gave me life, it really drastically helped me to love my father and build a whole new relationship with him as an adult. I would say the last 10 years or so, maybe, well, yes, I'm sure of it, have been the best 10 years of my relationship with my dad. And that's awesome. And I have counseling to thank for that. I have counseling to thank for the ability to see things differently about things in my past. So really good thing, especially Christian counseling that can go in there and help you to see it through Jesus's eyes, full of grace, full of truth at the same time, but give you more resource for your past. Counseling. Consulting. Let me tell you about consulting in my life. Consulting changed everything, and I'll never forget where I was. I had taken a role at my last corporate job that was I'll call it sword in the stone, very difficult role. In fact, the two executives before me had left the company, and it was proving to be a very difficult turnaround. Well, I had come into the role, but I didn't have any expertise. I wasn't going to be able to bring my smarts. They were expecting leadership. So I'll never forget where I was when my pastor, John Reed, gave me a copy of The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni. And I was laying in my bed reading this book and thinking, whoever this guy is, he's reading my mail. He literally understands what I'm going through. And the book, The Advantage, pulls apart a whole approach to how to build a healthy, high performing culture, all centered around the five functions of a team and what modes we need to employ to lead well. And so, as I was reading this book late at night in my bed, I decided I have to email these people. And so I emailed the author and his consulting group, the Table Group, and they deployed a consultant to us who helped us to turn around the organization within a year's time. Amazing turnaround. I I was thrilled with it. So was my company. The outcome was amazing, and I found this as a system. Now, the consultant that came and worked with us, he was there to say, now do this, now do this. And it was a system that would help us build that culture. And it was all centered around the way that we met, from a quarterly meeting, a daily meeting, the weekly meeting, and the strategic ad hoc meetings. And so we're doing this meeting process and communicating in new ways the most important things. And I'm telling you, the system worked. And that was consulting. And consulting has its place, right? To bring expertise to install capabilities. I'm sure that you've had experiences with different certified financial planners. By the way, I got to be with a bunch of certified kingdom advisors last week who uh, help people to become more generous. Amazing consulting. And so consulting has its place where we need specific expertise to get things right. But coaching is none of those first two things, right? I'm not a coach unless I draw the future out of you. Now, take the most common example of a coach, right? Most common example of a coach is somebody that coached you how to play a game. They gave you practice, routines, and they were using that to help you to get better because they saw the potential in you. And they were discovering your skill development, and while you were committing to growth, that commitment to building up a better right and left hand dribble, a better layup, a better jump shot, a better two hand pass, better bounce pass, right? All basketball examples. They were walking you through what it took for you to be able to perform at higher levels. Your part was making commitments and following through on the routines and the commitments that would help you to create that growth. Coaches help you to build a compelling vision for the future. Now, if that vision doesn't involve something that is thrilling in and of itself, it's a self-motivating vision, meaning for me to see that come true would be the thrill of my life. And so I can't resist it. In fact, I'm willing to suffer for it. I would be willing to lose everything trying to get there because I want it so much. A coach helps to draw that out of you and then helps you to follow through to get to that thing to make it come true. Now, coaching's been an evolving practice because I'll tell you my favorite consulting joke, and it could apply to a coach. It's that how does a consultant tell you what time it is? Well, first they borrow your watch to tell you the time, and then they charge you for giving them your watch to tell you the time, right? And so a consultant, and sometimes it being misunderstood as a coach, has left people with the question of who's really being served right now. Because at the end of the day, sometimes what we've hired consultants to do is to tell us the thing that no one can say out loud. But we need someone to come here and tell us this. And we all knew it was true, but because someone on the outside said it, now we believe it, right? That's a consultant. But a coach for a team is helping that team to go further, to build that future to be able to get there. Now, my specific niche where I love to help leaders, business leaders, marketplace leaders, nonprofit leaders, religious leaders, faith leaders, to be able to do is to make a life that will matter forever. Because here's what I believe. Someday, we are all going to be sitting around long tables, and Jesus is going to be there. And there'll be a retelling of stories of how he got glory. And as he got glory, I want to be able to be a part of the story where he'll say, and there was this time when Jeff did, and this happened, and they're sitting here because of that, and they're sitting here because of that. And that's my dream. And that vision is something that is compelling to me as an end state. So I back it down into the what needs to happen here in this world for me to be in that world in eternity someday, having that story retold. So the gap that most leaders are trying to work on is to understand, how do I get there? Because they've hired consultants and experts, and maybe they've even done the work of therapy or marriage work, but it hasn't helped them. You know, Heather and I coach here a program called Dream Master, and that's all about building a compelling future for your marriage, not trying to solve past trauma in marriage or relationships or teach you how to be married, but rather to say, what if we had something so exciting that it gave us juice? And we wouldn't think that when our career and kids are done that we're going to look at each other and be like, who the heck are you? But rather that we'll have this compelling future in front of us that will continue to give our lives together in our marriage and individually to see that happen. But so few people have someone who's drawing their future out of them. They're running so hard, but no one is advocating for them. Let me tell you about the 4 things that you need in your life. Are you ready to work on your legacy? The Priority Gathering, April 22nd through 24th in Dallas. This isn't speakers talking at you, it's coaching to develop you. Join Bob Shank, Rob Dayton, and me, Jeff Gerhardt, for world-class coaching and real conversations to sharpen you. Hear from best-selling author Jason Jaggard and Middle East expert Tom Doyle. Whether you're a master's program alumni or exploring it for the first time, this is your moment. Register now at theprioritygathering.com. Are you ready for this? These are the 4 things that everyone needs. They need a vision that's compelling. This vision has to be so compelling, it's thrilling, it's exciting, it's what gets you out of bed. You love it, and it means so much to you, but it's beyond you. It's for a bigger purpose than you, and you care so much because you care so much about the future. Now, people that are already successful, they may think that they don't have a lot of future left because they feel middle-aged, or even they think they might be old. But vision helps them to see past even their lifetime, and they're willing to suffer to see it happen. And even if they don't see it in their lifetime, it'll have been worth the incredible vision's pursuit. So you need a vision. Second, you need a coach to advocate for your vision and to help find what's in you that you don't even know you have as resource to achieve that vision. A coach is going to draw out of you things and ideas to help you change your mindset and way of being, so that possibility of you doing that starts to become real and even possible. You're going to not only need a vision and a coach, you need a system, a life system. The life mastery system that we teach in the master's program is a system of routine to help grow that I have more balance, more margin, and more focus. Having that system will undergird my ability to see great vision happen. And then fourth, I need a community of people that are playing big, thinking big, and wanting to grow beyond them. Because my great big vision with a coach and a system are all really good things, But there's nothing like having people who are expecting more and they're encouraging you to get further, farther, and they want to go with you and they celebrate your growth while you celebrate theirs and you keep pursuing it together. These are the four things that every leader needs. Any high achieving leader who wants to have more. And that, by the way, is exactly what we built the master's program around. And that's why the priority gathering is designed to give you a taste of all of that: a vision, a coach, a system, and a community to get exactly where you've always wanted to go. But if you've never experienced what real coaching looks like in a community of driven leaders, you need to come. The priority gathering is April 22nd through 24th in Dallas, Texas at the Hotel Zaza. I want to tell you, there's going to be world-class coaching. Not only will I get a chance to meet you, but you're going to get to hear from Bob Shank, the founder of Life Mastery and the Masters program. You'll be able to be coached by Rob Dayton, who's an amazing coach. And on top of all of that, we've got these two incredible people that are going to be speaking there. You're going to have Jason Jaggard, the founder of Novus Global, and the Meta Performance Institute. Jason wrote an incredible book. It was one of my favorites. If you saw me post about this late last year, Beyond High Performance was a game changer for me. Jason Jaggard is going to be coaching and speaking at the conference. And then my dear friend, amazing speaker, Tom Doyle, is going to be speaking about Middle East prophecy. In fact, I know he is going to just have arrived back from the Middle East, and he's going to have all sorts of new information as well as helping us to see the time clock for what it is. There's some incredible things that you could be going for. And I wonder if this resonates with you. Having a vision, a coach, a system, and a community that would be behind you to go with you to an incredible place. Hey, if you're interested, go to priorityliving.org/priority gathering. Or you could just go to theprioritygathering.com, and grab your spot. It's an incredible opportunity. We've made the pricing incredibly low. In fact, we've squeezed it down to get as many of people who want to come like you to be there. So, hey, I'm accessible too. You want to find out more? Just email me or text me. You can always reach me at jeff@leveragingsuccesspodcast.com. Reach out. I'll tell you about the priority gathering. I would love to talk to you about it. Look, this segment in this podcast is to give you vision for the components of what an extraordinary life entails, what it takes to get to a life that matters forever. Next time, I'm going to be working with you on the seat that you're sitting in and how it's costing you. I can't wait to talk to you about it. But for this time, be after a coach, a vision, a system, and a people that are going to go incredible places with you. See you next time.